In this lesson, we're going to look at Van Morrison's Moondance, and this has been requested by a lot of you guys out there. And while I'm going to do a partial transcription, I'm not transcribing the entire thing because it's very long and there's lots of variations. But this is going to be a good opportunity to improvise walking bass lines over changes again. And so we'll take a look at the first verse and B section and chorus and the way those are played verbatim from the record, and then also the first part of the first solo, which is the piano solo. And this is going to give you an idea of the variations that are used in the bass line, because it's like a jazz bass walking bass line hybrid. A very well-known song, and everybody wants to learn this, and it also happens to incorporate all this walking bass stuff. So I think this will be a good lesson, not only for the song, but to learn more about improvising. The bass part was recorded by a guy named John Klingberg, who's since passed away in the mid-'80s. Interesting guy and a very well-known bass line. So there's a lot of interest in this part and the way he played it on the record. So we're going to take a look at that first. This is all in the key of A minor. So good idea to maybe review your A minor scale. There are no flats and sharps in the key of A minor. It's the same as C. But the bass part, because it occupies a fairly wide range on the instrument, it'd be good to review your A minor scale upwards to the 12th fret, really. Oops. Just to sort of refamiliarize yourself with that. Okay, so in the beginning, now I've transcribed this with the exact fret positions as I hear them. There's no visual record of him playing this, so there's a couple of ways that this could be played. I've got it in a couple of different areas on the neck. Use what's comfortable for you, or if you learn it here written out with the tablature that I have, you can always change that, move it to a different area of the neck if it's more comfortable for you. So let's take a look at the intro. Now the chords here are A minor, B minor, and some form of a C, or like an A minor over C. It's really just sort of this motif of the chord going back and forth. A minor, B minor, C, B minor, A minor. But a C and an A minor are very, very similar in construction. They have a lot of the same notes. So I've listed it here as a C. The bass a lot of the times plays an actual C. So we'll call it a C for now. So A minor, B minor, C, B minor, A. It's this sort of cycle back and forth. So the bass line, predictably, is using a lot of those notes. For example, in the very beginning, we play two A's, a B, then an E here. That is also part of a C chord. It's also part of an A minor chord. And it's also the fifth of A. So it's a good resolving note to go back into A. And he uses this motif quite a bit in the recording. So let me play, let's see here, we got 4 bars of the intro. Let me just play that for you slowly, and then we'll take a look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's break it down a little bit. We've got the A, and then on the B minor we're playing a B. Then we hit an E, which is sort of taking us back to an A over the C chord, which And again, the C chord is sort of a hybrid C over A, without a better explanation. I think that's the best way to call it. I'd call it a C on the chart, but A, E, B, E. Then we do a little chromatic approach to the B minor. Then we actually hit a C for the first time. And then back to a B, E. So let's take a look, let's play it again here. So that's the intro. You're going to see a whole lot of variations on that very simple theme right there, with some more walking around and some use of different octave ranges and stuff. That's how this is going to go down. So once the verse starts, he breaks it down a little bit and just follows that rhythm of the chords. And that eighth bar of the verse is a strange one. And here he's using a natural sixth, an F sharp, walking down, which is really out of the key. And this is more sort of motific from bass lines in minor, where we go, where we use that natural sixth to walk back up. He's using it going down. It's kind of strange. It is definitely out of the key, so it's a note to wonder about. But if we think about the B minor, it's the fifth of the B minor, so it makes sense from the chord's perspective, but not from the scale. This is one of the weird things about minor key songs, is the sixth degree is often like a wild card. Depending on the moment, you can change its quality. It totally depends on the song, but minor keys tend to be a little bit more flexible, the sixth degree of the scale. So back again to the verse. Chromatic. We're using the the flat sixth of the scale, the regular note of the scale on that particular motif, the fourth bar. Then we do the same chromatic motif he was using earlier. Here's that eighth bar there. He's using kind of a blue note here, where you're going chromatic down from the fifth. He's just sort of improvising and jamming on it. But again, that's a sort of a strange bar, some odd note choices in there. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to bar 9 of the verse. Again, back to the same chromatic motif. So let's take a look at that 2 bars there. Chromatic up to B. Then he's using the chromatic note as a chromatic approach to the C to provide a little more rhythm. Seems strange, but in the context, when you're walking, one of the ways weird notes like that can work is where they're placed rhythmically. So if I go, since we have strong beats and weak beats, beat 1 is strong, beat 2 would be more weak, beat 3 is strong, beat 4 more weak. And then the in-between notes, the eighth notes, are going to be even weaker still. So we start off here. Strong, weak to strong. Then we go, this is somewhat strong, but it's part of an approach. Strong, weak, strong. But it's the weaker of the downbeats is where we're hitting this A sharp. Strong, weak, strong. Weak, even weaker, then strong. I know this is sort of confusing as dealing with the strength of the beats, but this is where you can get away with chromatic notes and stranger notes. If they're not on a particularly strong beat, you're more apt to get away with it or have it sound more musical because it's leading you somewhere as opposed to arriving somewhere. When you arrive on a chord, you want to be on a strong note, chord tone, the root, to provide harmonic strength to everybody else in the band. So here we go. Here's that bar 9. Sorry. Now here's where I'm changing positions on the neck here, just because it's easier to play that motif. If you were going, you'd have to do a big leap to get to that A down here. So I'm getting to the A on the D string much easier. So now we're going to play a little bit around, or play around a little bit in this register of the neck. So let's see here. Where's a good place to take it from? I guess the 9, 10, 11, 12th bar there. Now you might be able to switch registers earlier than that, maybe a bar before that. Play that riff like that. So now we're into the last line of the verse, the last 4 bars, and we're now playing starting on the 7th fret here of the D string. There's a use of that, the F sharp, sorry, again, the natural 6th of the scale, not the flat 6th. But it's also the 5th of the B minor. So it does make sense harmonically. Now here I walk down and go back to the open string register, the lower part of the neck. So let's take a look at that. That walk down is leading us to the D minor. The D minor is the next section, what I call the B section of the song, where we change the chords and melody sorts of changes there. So let's take a look at those last 4 bars again, slowly, and I'll walk down into the D minor. Now we're into the B section. Let's take a look at that slowly. This same motif is going to be repeated here twice. So D minor, we start on a D, the F, and then we go to a G and chromatically up to the A. So it's a chromatic approach. Then just a regular scale walk up back to the D minor. On the 3rd time, it changes. So here's where we get into the chorus part of it. Now here we have some quarter note triplets, which if you haven't seen this before written in a rhythm, it's basically 3 notes, 3 quarter notes, or 3 rhythms, 3 rhythmical increments in the span of 2 regular quarter notes. So if the quarter notes are like this, dap, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3 rhythmic intervals in the span of 2 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3. And we have a rest on the first one. That's how we get this rhythmical feel here. So let me take it 2 bars before that rhythm. So that's a little bit of a tricky rhythm to get. Let me see if I can count this at the same time, which is a little difficult here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That's kind of hard to do, but hopefully you get the idea. So that last bar of A minor before this motif, when you get to the downbeat of the D minor bar here, you cut it off. So bum, 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 going to the E7 on the next bar. And then once you've done the quarter note triplets, we pick up into the chorus. And we're basically doing this minor pentatonic riff over 2 octaves. And but we pick up into the chorus. It starts a little bit before the downbeat.